Just setting up my project here quick. What else do I need? I don't remember exactly. DaVinci Resolve version, no. Play button, that's it. There's a play button, audio, and then there is that. Okay. I think that's everything I need. Now I need to pop out chat here quick. Let's see. Pop chat out. There we are. Live chat. All right. I think we're good on there now. All right. So here's my video. So I did a video on this new render in place tool that allows you to kind of take really, I guess, process heavy effects that you do. Let's say in Fusion, if you do the Fusion effects on the edit page, anything like that, and you can render it out as a file so that your computer doesn't have to constantly keep processing that effect. So if you have something really heavy, or maybe you have a computer that can't process that, you can make the effect and then you can just have it already processed out in a video file, which is cool. I mean, you could always just go to the deliver page and render it out and drop it back on your timeline. But what this does that's pretty cool is it allows you to have it like linked essentially, but it also contains all of the old stuff that you used. I didn't really explain that very well, but pretty much you make your effect, you then go into Resolve, you right click here and you go to render in place, and then what it'll do is it'll render out whatever that the length of that clip is, and then you can put handles on each end and it'll render it out. It'll then make a separate file, put that file into your media bin, drop it onto your timeline without those effects added because it'll already be rendered in. But the cool thing with it is you can always go back to the original. So in the example in this video, I had a raw file and I decided that maybe you want to go back and use the raw, settings. Well, if you render it into something else, you wouldn't have access to that. So you can just go back, and the cool thing is when you go back, it'll have all of the old state that it was previously in. So whatever the effects were that you had on there, it'll have all those on there. Obviously, with it not being the rendered version at that point, it's not going to play very well, but it's nice to be able to easily go back. Jump into Fusion and you make a bunch of to continue your edit. Alright, that's good enough. On audio level, how's everyone doing today? Sometimes you jump off to rewatch it, get the timing right, but then whenever you get over that one clip that you added all those effects in, you get playback that's similar to this. But then where it's almost nothing, you can't really see anything, and it does 1 or 2 frames per second if you're lucky. There's a new feature that was added into DaVinci Resolve. You get playback that's similar to this, where it's almost nothing, you can't really see anything, and it does 1 or 2 frames per second if you're lucky. There's a new feature that was added into DaVinci Resolve. Actually alleviates some of those issues very quickly, and it doesn't affect your timeline, so you don't have to be worried about getting a file from another location, dropping it in, making sure the clip is positioned in there, that the right frame numbers are lined up, and all that jazz. Today we're going to go over how to I wish I had the motivation to cook. No, the standalone version still exists. It has a lot of features that the version in DaVinci Resolve doesn't have. Think of the one in DaVinci Resolve as the free version of Fusion, and then there's also a studio version of DaVinci Resolve. You can actually, if you have a license for it, you could go to Blackmagic's website. And then click right here. Or actually, no, we'll go to support. And then click on... What is going on? Alright, click right here. And then if you scroll down, right here, it has the new version. So Fusion Studio 17 Beta 1. It was released last week. But the free version of Fusion is now the DaVinci Resolve Fusion, I guess is the best way to put it. Is positioned in there and the right frame numbers are lined up and all that jazz. Today we're going to go over how to... Alright, I don't have music. What happened? Do-do-do-do.
Another broken plate, another called off date. We never seem to get
Today we're going to go over how to... Today we're going to go over how to render in place on your edit page within DaVinci Resolve 17. Today we're going to go over how... today we're going to go over... Today we're going to go over how place frame numbers are lined up and all that jazz. Today we're going to go over how to render in place on the edit page within DaVinci Resolve 17. So without further ado, let's jump in. Alright. Different tutorials before we get started. Before we get started, for those who haven't seen my content before, I do have a website, DaVinci Resolve 17. So without further ado, let's jump in. Without further ado, let's jump in. Before we get started. Okay, did I really just do that? Can't believe I did that. Wait, what? I'm so confused. For those who haven't explore. There we are. Before we get started, for those who haven't seen my... Do I ever use the cut tab window thingy? No, I don't use it. I tried using it when it was first released, but it was difficult for me to get used to it because I've always just edited, you know, this way, so I'm very used to it. It's just a... Okay, so the first clip that I have here, it's just a normal view clip that I have. That's how you know I messed up. Okay, so the first assets. Okay, so the first clip that I have here is just a normal clip that I added in a bunch of the new edit page
Fusion effects. I added them on and I stacked them up so you get this kind of cool look. It's actually a drone shot, so I added on there a drone overlay. I added the binoculars on, but I made it one lens instead of two lenses. And then I also added a like night vision kind of look to it. They're all effects that come with the new DaVinci Resolve. I stacked them on there so it looks like it's actually part of this drone. But when you play, stack them on there so it looks like it's actually a part of this drone. But when you play it back, it's kind of lackluster. And at one point, I did talk about how the new edit page effects, they weren't able to be cached, at least the ones that go into the effects stack. And that was one of my biggest issues with that. At least the point of this or the time of this
At least the
That's one of my biggest issues with that. Ones that go into the effects stack. And that was one of my biggest issues with that. At least the time of this recording, that's true. You can't cache those. Anything else that has to do with Fusion, you can. Transitions, you can cache. Fusion, titles, you can cache. Fusion,
Fusion
cache. Fusion comps that are actually titles you can cache. Fusion comps that are actually
titles you can cache. Fusion
comps that are actually tied to the actual clip on the time. They're actually tied to the actual clip on the timeline you can cache, but not the Fusion effects currently. So this kind of plays into how those
jeez. To how those how those
caches would work, where what it's doing is it's processing the video clip and then making another clip that then allows you to edit on the timeline. The difference between caching and rendering in place.
one's a cache and one's one's a cache and one's baking. Caches are quickly editable, or you bake it. It's not as easy, but they made it a little easier having this render in place. All right.
Edit on the timeline. The difference between caching and rendering in place, there's a couple different things. One, anytime between caching and rendering in place, there's a couple different things. One, anytime you want to look at the raw file, you can with a cache. But one thing that happens with a cache is that you have the pop.
Geez, I didn't explain that very well. You can look at the raw file. Like, in a sense, you kind of can do that with both, but I didn't explain that very well. The raw file is continuously editable. There's just a cache there that you can knock out of being a current cache, so it would be an expired cache, and then it always wants to recache. But no one would ever, if you're new, you would not be able to follow that at all, or have any idea what I was saying by that. So I don't even know if this whole thing that I'm explaining here is a good thing to even have in here.
What happens with a cache is that you have the possibility of them becoming expired caches if you edit something, and then what ends up happening is it has to recache. So you have that as an issue.
Do I visually show that as well?
So you have that as an issue. Or when you're working on
Oh, I don't like that smack of the lips.
an issue. Or when you're working on a video clip and you want to send it to someone else to have them make additional edits to it, because the cache is kind of tied into your additional edits to it, because the cache is kind of tied into your current timeline in your DaVinci Resolve, so you can't send that as a separate file. With this new render in place, what it's going to do is it's going to take whatever clip you have, you can add.
Actually, now that I'm thinking about that, wherever that whole thing was.
As an issue. Or you have cache, so that as an issue. Or when you're working on a possibility of them on a video clip, and you want to send it to someone else, caching and rendering in place. There's a couple different things. One, anytime you want to look at the raw file.
Okay, so it's that clip there. I might come back to that and do something, because I don't think that some people are going to understand what that means.
Because the cache is kind of tied into your current timeline in your DaVinci Resolve, so you can't send that as a separate file. With this new render in place, what it's going to do is it's going to take whatever clip you have, you can add. It's going to take whatever clip you have, you can add handles.
How are you doing over there in Switzerland? What is the weather like yet? Do you guys have Did your ski season start yet? I can't wait to go skiing. Usually begins at the end of November. Oh, you're so lucky.
Clip, when you take whatever clip you have, you can add handles to the ends of your clip, and you can add
Yeah.
handles to the ends of your clip. That's great.
Your leaves are falling. I have so many leaves outside. It's kind of, I guess it's kind of nice, but we just had like really, really high winds. So those nice piles that everyone in the neighborhood decided to put out, yeah, they're all over the place now. Most of them are in my yard now.
Your clip, you can add handles to the ends of your clip, and then you can actually take that clip itself, send it to someone, have them do some edits to it, send it back, then you can drop it back into a timeline. The other thing that
I just can't wait for the ski season. Since this year we couldn't really do much of anything, I'm hoping that ski resorts are open because it's outdoors and it's like you're obviously nowhere near one another except for on the lift. I'm just hoping that I'll be able to ski this year.
to a timeline. The other thing that this allows you to do, which is really cool because it's all kind of created individually. All kind of created in DaVinci Resolve on the edit page. Now, this is solely an edit page feature that.
Jeez. Page feature that you're going to be using here.
If at any point
You have to go back to. I mean, are you guys? I know like a lot of other places over in that part of the world are back on lockdown again. Are you guys experiencing that? Because I feel like here in the U.S., things are getting kind of sketchy, and that might become a reality for us again.
you have to go back to your have to go back to your raw file, and I'll show you here in a second why you want to do that. It will retain all of the information that you used to render out that file. So all of the effects that you added on, if you built anything in Fusion, it will save all of that stuff. So let's quickly go through how to cache and then also adding them on, and the pros and cons of doing this, and then how you would also.
Oh, that
let's say you have
sucks.
a raw file and you go into the color page, and you want to use the raw settings because when you did the stage.
That's always a bummer. I mean, I understand the reasoning behind it, but yeah, it's just a bummer that this stuff isn't gone already.
The raw color page, and you want to use the raw settings because when you did the render in place, you didn't do any coloring at that point. So let's jump into it quick.
All right, so
Here on my timeline. Here on my timeline, this particular clip, like I was saying earlier, this is all just.
yeah, they really do. I mean, I don't know how much your local news keeps up with the United States, but it's getting real sketchy here. The numbers just keep going up and up and up, and I mean, I'm okay, you know, because I sit behind a computer all the time, but a lot of my friends are kind of not so lucky.
This is all just the new Fusion.
The new
Fusion effects.
So it was kind of nice that Resolve 17 was released, at least the beta, because we have something to keep us occupied, at least for now.
the new fusion effects within this whole effect stack. This whole
Gotta look at something positive, I guess.
whole in the effect stack, and obviously you can go through them, but like I was saying, you can't cache this, right? So playback, no matter what you did at this point, it was kind of just because the effects are kind of.
What the heck is that?
Just
Really?
it was kind of just because the effects that are on here, you would just need to do something because you can't cache these. So to render in place here, all we're going to do is click on the clip, and up here we have render in place. It's going to ask us what do we want the file type codec to be, and the really thing to remember is this is file. File type.
Yeah, you're definitely welcome. Hopefully me doing it a bit more consistent helps out more people. I just can't wait till the more and more I've been thinking about going over these different updates. Yes, they're informative. Yes, they show people more things, but it's not as creative as making some of the tutorials and making different effect or motion graphics in Fusion, because I really want to play with all the new shape layers and come up with some cool ideas with that. But I do kind of want to go over all of these new features that weren't really talked about that in depth, so that I know not everyone's going to use all of these features, but at least if you know about them, you then know that it's a thing that you can use. So and from what I've been seeing in the comments, I wish I was getting a commission for each DaVinci Resolve I was pushing people into purchasing, because there's a lot of comments I've been getting recently about, hey, now that you showed us this feature, I'm definitely going to be getting, Resolve.
File type codec to be, and the one thing to codec to be, and the one thing to remember is this is going to make a file on your computer, and then it's going to take the current computer, and then it's going to take the current take
Oh, you're doing some effects? Nice. I don't know if you or when you came in, but this feature that I'm making this video about allows you to take those effects and render them into a clip on your timeline, and then once you render all that stuff, and it's not the caching process, you can either take that file, send it to someone else so that they can manipulate it if you're working with like a VFX artist, or you can put it on your timeline so you get quicker playback. But if you ever have to go back and edit it, you can just right click and go to original, and all of the stuff that you added in Fusion or the edit page, the effects stack, they'll all be there, which is really freaking cool. So you don't have to be concerned with something constantly falling out of cache. For most people, that's not really an issue, but some people it has been. Especially the whole new caching system is significantly better, leaps and bounds, than it was in like version 15. That's for sure. I made you buy it too. Oh, you worked with Fusion back when 4 came out. 4, was it still owned by Ion? I didn't even use it then.
Time to take the current file that's on your timeline. file that's on your timeline, and it's automatically going to switch them out for you, and then you're going to be able to have the good playback, or you would hope the good playback. And the reason why I say that is because depending on the system.
How do you make a team project? So I don't know which version of DaVinci Resolve you currently have. And I don't know if they released it because they said that it was going to take them a little while to release the tools to make them installable for the free version of Resolve. Just going to look on their website quick. So I don't know how this collaboration tool works for the free version, but you can download the, I'm guessing there's going to be some type of like README, but pretty much what you have to do is you have to have the database accessible by both machines. You have to have the same files on both machines or all the machines. And I don't think that they changed anything with the collaboration mode. But everything has to be the same on both machines for you to be working on the same project. Oh, so you did use 4 back when it was Ion? That's a long time ago.
File that's on your timeline, and it's automatically going to switch them out for you, and then you're going to be able to have the good playback, or you would hope the good playback. And the reason why I say that is because depending on the system that you actually have, a lot of the times.
This was something else that I was kind of, while I was filming, I was like, is this too much information? And then I wasn't really explaining it very well. Because a lot of people were always complaining about, what the hell is it called? Now I can't even think the terminology that's used. They're complaining about optimized media, but a lot of people were setting their optimized media settings to have a significantly higher data rate than their hard drives could ever process. So they would have these files that were maybe, I don't know, let's say 1 gig big, and then they would make these uncompressed files that were significantly bigger. And yeah. So a lot of people have all these videos on YouTube saying, like, don't ever use optimized media. And it's like, yeah, but why don't you figure out the root cause of the issue instead of just trying to bash on a tool?
On the system that you actually have, a lot of the times, if you're not cautious about what you pick here, you can end up making a substantially larger file. Here is the perfect example of this. If I was to come into here and do, well, maybe 10-bit RGB, but if we did this as an uncompressed file, it would not be. But
if we did this,
you end up making a substantially larger file. Here is the perfect example of this. If I was
Here is the perfect example of this. If we did this as an
uncompressed file, and let's say we have an H.264 file on here, H.264 file, let's say, just to throw out something, maybe it is.
Sometimes I explain this stuff and I'm like, I know some people aren't super tech savvy, so if I explain it by saying megabytes big and gigabytes big, and some people really aren't going to follow.
File on here, H.264 file, let's say, just to throw out something, maybe it is.
H.264 file on here. H.264 file. Let's file on here. 4 file on here. Let's say just to throw out.
Let's say just to throw out something. Maybe it is a half a gig, right? Sure. If I was to do an uncompressed, that might be a 6. 100 megabytes for this clip.
The 4K clip. Sure.
If I was to do an uncompressed, that might be a 6 gig file, right? So you have to really pay attention to what it is.
Yeah, using the SSDs is definitely a way to make things a lot faster. And if you get good quality NVMe drives, those are a whole nother thing because they're not going over SATA anymore. So then you have even faster data rates. Some of those are crazy, stupid fast. I'm kind of thinking about gutting this whole thing. And then just vaguely talking about it.
Here is the perfect example of this. If we did this as
Okay. Maybe we'll cut it right there.
file system that you actually have. A lot of the times, if you're not cautious about what you pick here, you could end up making a substantially larger file. Here is the
All right, something else I have to make a decision about, but I'll just go on from here.
Especially doing uncompressed, that might be a 6 gig file, right? So you have to really pay attention to what it is that you're going to be switching into. I don't really have the time to go through every single thing. These are all the same render settings that you have on the deliver page, but it's just something to keep in mind here, because if you go too low, you're going to want to go back and make sure that you have these disabled.
What? Speech recognition? I don't want that. That's kind of creepy. Why'd that pop up?
And make sure and make sure that you have these disabled. It'll almost be like a proxy file at that point. It'll be really lightweight, but it won't be reading from something else when you go to render, because it's switching.
This is good information, because what ends up happening when you use this is it just reads from whatever's on the timeline. And since you rendered out the file and it's on the timeline, it'll read that when it goes through the deliver page, and it won't use the linked data, or it's not really linked data or linked. How do I explain this? Actually, you know what? I don't think there's any settings in here to bypass. There's nothing in here that says don't read render in place stuff. Deeper. Bypass re-encoding when possible. What does that one mean? Bypass re-encoding when possible. Re-encoding when possible. I didn't try that. Fuck, I couldn't find my mute button. Sorry about that. Ooh. Maybe I will leave it in there.
So that you have these disabled, it'll almost be like a proxy file at that point. It'll be really lightweight, but it won't be reading from something else when you go to render, because it's switched.
Do I have to go and try it quick? Let's go try it quick. Render replace. I don't know if that's correct, but we'll see here. All right, so or either one of these? No, this one. So let's make this smaller so I don't have to render this whole thing. Well, that's not good. Man, I moved all my thingies. All right, so we'll have it go right into there. Oh shit. We gotta uncheck that. Okay, so that has nothing to do with that because that was just rendering straight from this file. Bypass re-encoding when possible. I'm not entirely sure what that means. Bypass re-encoding when possible. So used optimized media, we don't know what that is. Use proxy, get what that is. Use render cache, I get what that is. Yep. And this is that bypass one, I'm not entirely sure. Alright, well, I guess that really doesn't have any effect on what my little video. Where am I?
And make sure that you have these disabled. It'll almost be like a box file. It'll be really lightweight, but it won't be reading from something else when you go to render because it's switching its position in the timeline. It's going to just render whatever's currently on that timeline. So a good thing. On that timeline. A good thing if you're on Windows to do one of the DNX or DNX. HD, if you have for high resolution, you can come into HR, and then going in here, it really depends on what you're going to do.
I have one big system. I made a video about it. I'll show you here in a sec. No, I definitely don't do Blu-rays. So that's kind of like my system that I have. And like in here somewhere, it's probably just like a second. Oh, there it is. That's kind of my whole little system. These are all little hard drives. And then on the back, they have the same amount. And then that, well, this is like my old setup before I moved, because this was actually my computer and it was in the same room, which was really nice. But now this system is on the other side of this wall, and then all of this stuff and this up here is in the basement. But yeah, when you start to like get a lot of data, you end up needing a larger solution that can expand with you, and it's not so, it doesn't cost a lot to expand your space. So if I was to get like one of the smaller units that are like, I don't know, anywhere from 4 to 8 bays, once you fill that up, you then have to spend another, like if you go through Synology, probably like another at least this is United States currency, anywhere from $400 to $700 for an expansion box, which is just an empty box. It has no compute power, and it's just a box to hold drives and then a wire that goes down into the previous box that has like the computer in it. So that's one way of going. But the issue with that is you kind of, and I explained it in that video, that you kind of get locked into that whole ecosystem. And if there's ever an issue with the hardware, the only way to get, they've kind of fixed this nowadays, but back then, the only way to get that storage off of those was to rebuy the same hardware, because only the hardware could read those disks. Now they've changed it a bit because now everything runs cleaner versions of Linux, and it doesn't have these like crazy hybrid render arrays. I forget which one does. One of them still does. Maybe it's QNAP. I forget though. It's been so long since I used one of those branded versions. But the system that I have, because it's all enterprise equipment, all you need to do is just get a big box that has a whole bunch. So, man, I should have left that up here, but I don't think I still have it open. I think I closed it. Yeah. But that the one box runs, and then the other box is just an empty box with drives, and the bottom box can hold 48 drives. That bottom box, if you get it like used from a data center, I think it was like $600, and then you can put a whole nother 48 drives in there. So I've been kind of living off of that. The only other issue then I currently have right now, which it's not an issue anymore, is the best way to do backup is to have, it's called a 3-2-1. 3 locations, 2 different types of backups, and I forget what the one is, but noise? What do you mean? Does it make a lot of noise? Because it's enterprise equipment? Yeah, that's why it's in the basement. And it's not right next to me. Those the fans in that equipment is really, really loud. So I have a fiber cable that goes down there, and that comes up, and that's where I kind of store everything. Yeah. I used to have a... Hold on a second. I think I might have a video of, or like how loud it is. Hold on a second. Let me... Yeah, those systems can get pretty loud pretty quickly. I have absolutely no idea where it would be. I was going to show, but yeah, I don't have the slightest idea where it would be. If you get newer equipment, it doesn't put out a lot of heat. But since this is like kind of dated equipment now, it does put out a decent amount when it's under load. But if it's not under load, it's not terrible. But I love learning about like all that like enterprise equipment and stuff like that. Next time I move, I'll check the basement first. I have I'll tell you exactly what drives I have, because I don't remember. I have the Toshiba 4 terabytes, and I have the Western Digital Pro 10s. I believe these weren't the ones that Western Digital got all like crazy about. And then I ended up, after all of the stuff that happened with Western Digital like drives, I then was like, F this. I'm not dealing with any of that. And then I just went straight enterprise drives because I don't want to deal with the shingle magnetic recording stuff that they got in trouble for. So, yeah. No, thank you. All right. Well, you know what? We got to start editing. What's your favorite feature? My favorite feature is probably feature, not enhancement. This is my favorite feature. If you put an effect on here, and this is only a feature because I make these things. So we put this effect on here. Before, there was no way of manipulating controls that would show up in Fusion. Now we have the ability to come in here to Fusion overlays, and now we can take this and we can manipulate these. Before, that wasn't possible. I would say that that's probably my favorite feature, along with the Fusion effects and being able to go into a particular Fusion effect and it being its own Fusion comp, and then being able to go in and manipulate that. Obviously, this is going to be very dependent on whoever creates the effects, if it's editable and what's editable. But this is probably my feature. I remember making a feature request for this. That's probably my favorite, and that's only because I create that stuff. But I really like the way how you can come into here and go into like these and then scroll to see what a title looks like before you put it on the timeline. I think that that's really cool. Little enhancements like that, I think, are things that I primarily like. A lot of stuff was like studio only. The other stuff that I like. I like that they built in false color, but I think that's studio only. The last video that I did about smart reframe, I think that that's pretty cool, but that's only studio because that can save a lot of time if you do like cross posting onto different social platforms. What else sticks out that I liked? I think that's it. I can't think of anything else off the top of my head. Audio infusion. What am I saying? Audio infusion, markers infusion. If you were forced back to go to 16 but could only take one feature, audio infusion, for sure. Audio infusion. Because if you have audio infusion, then you can do animations based off of audio. And yeah, I feel like for a lot of people, that might have been the deal breaker for them if they do a lot of timing with audio for different like text animations and stuff like that, because you just couldn't, there was no way of getting information into Fusion. Like you couldn't get markers on the spline tool to know exactly when an animation should start or stop. Vector shapes are cool, but I feel like they need some improvement still. It's super beta. I like where they're going with it, but it needs a lot of work. Like, here, let me show you. Let me show you something that I seen that I was like, okay, this makes no sense at all. All right, so let's say we get a normal ellipse, and then we get an right, so we get these two tools. I'm not gonna be able to see that one, right? This is the thing I don't like. So an ellipse, you can grab it from the side, right? You can grab it from the top, obviously, and then you can grab it from the corner, right, to go like that. If you look at this freaking vector one, you can grab it from the side. You can't grab it from the bottom or the top, and you can't grab it from the corner. Why the hell is there a side control then? Like, what? That makes no sense to me at all. It's like they copied half of the code and then just gave up on doing any of the other stuff. Like, that makes no sense to me at all. And then I was like, okay, well, how does the S rectangle work? So you look at that, a normal one, and then this one here. So the normal one, obviously, you can grab from the top and bottom. This one, you can't, well, if I click on over here, you can't grab from the side or here. It's like, what? It was like, what? Okay. So, like, that's some stuff that I see, and I was like, what? So, yeah, I feel like those tools need a little bit of work. Now I need to clear this. Reset Fusion Cache. What else was something funny that I found? Oh, here's something else that makes no sense to me at all. You would typically think, you know, if you make these effects, that people are going to look at them to learn from them, right? Because the company is putting these out, right? It's not just a no-name like me putting them out. It's a company putting them out. So they have this thing called the video call. So I put the video call on here. We get this like little bar that's like Mac OS looking bar up here. We have a little timer down here. And if you scroll way in, we have the video call like things, right? So we have this, and I'm like, okay, why are they right in the middle? Obviously, no video call is going to have them right in the middle. So let's do the whole thing that I like. Let's go over and look at this comp, right? So I come over and I look in the comp, and it starts off, it comes in here, media in, it goes right to a resize node that's turned off. Weird. Why is that even there if it's turned off? This is a template. This isn't an active project, so that shouldn't be in there, right? And we have this like video call thing just like sitting here in the middle of the screen. It looks really bizarre. So I found out here. So a letterbox is like the top and bottoms, right? If you're trying to like make the top and bottom, you know, if you're doing like a widescreen thing, right? So I don't know what this whole thing is, but all you got to do is delete that. And then all of a sudden it looks like an actual video call, right? So now if I come back over to the edit page, oh, look at it. It looks like a video call now, sort of. So like I thought that was super weird. And they put the time into making a little thumbnail for it. And the thumbnail looks like this. It doesn't look like with it really small. It's super weird, but we're in beta, right? Those things will get fixed. And I think the only person that sees that as like crazy is probably me because I create that stuff, but they should hire me to do that stuff for them. I would love to have my own creation get shipped in all the DaVinci Resolves. That'd be awesome. So yeah, there's a couple of like little things here and there that are a little weird.
A good thing if you're on Windows to do one of the DNX or DNX. If you have HD, if you have for high resolution, you can come into if you have HD, if you have for high resolution, you can come into HR, and then going. If you have HD or the DNXX or DNX,
DNXX.
you have DNX. You have one of the DNXX DNX. Goes to do one of the
Goes to do one of the DNX. Either if you have HD, do one of the DNX. If you have HD. If you have HD, if you have or high or HD, if you have high resolution, you could come into HR, and then
going in here, it really depends.
And then
HR going in here, it really depends on what you're going to deliver as. You don't want to go below whatever you would deliver as, but you can always come back.
I feel like I'm going too in depth with this.
And undo this. So it's just one of those things to keep in mind. If you're going to send this to someone.
What would I create if I was actually able to put it into DaVinci Resolve? I would probably create a way better digital glitch than whatever the hell this is. You're not going to be able to see this play at full, like whatever this digital glitch thing is, I'd probably build a better one. But in all reality, I don't know what I would truly do. Because you would probably want to create something that's super like general that people could use. But I would probably want mine to be kind of cool as well, and not just super. I don't know what I would do, to be honest with you. It's a good question. I'd probably have to think about it a little bit. I would want it to be something that people would use often. And people, like, it doesn't matter what you create, you would probably use it often. But what would that thing be? I'm not entirely sure. And it would probably end up being something that's really, really lightweight. So if you're on the free version and you have not the greatest of a system, you could still use it. It would take me a little bit to try to figure out what that thing would be. I don't know.
Obviously, you want to try to give them the closest thing that you can to uncompressed, so that they have the ability to not have any compression to deal with any compression. But you can go through all these codecs and see the pros and cons of them are. Obviously, the higher quality, the larger the file. Mainly, the other way around, if you get and the more compressed you get, the more loss in quality you're going to get as well. The handles, that's going to be.
So I'm just going to pick one. Well, all right, we're cutting all of that information out because I feel like it's way too much.
A good thing if you're on Windows to do one of the DNX.
Cutting all that out.
And make sure that you have these disabled. It'll almost be like a proxy file at that point. It'll be really lightweight, but it won't be reading from something else when you go to render. Because it's switching its position in the timeline, it's going to just render whatever's currently on that timeline. So I'm just going to pick one.
Okay.
Keep in mind here, because if you go
I don't remember what I was talking about. Oh, wait.
If we did this as an uncompressed file, let's say we have an HF64 file on here. Let's say, just to throw out something, maybe it is a half a gig, right? So 500 megabytes for this clip, the 4K clip, sure. If I was to do an uncompressed, that might be a 6 gig file, right? So you have to really pay attention to what it is that you're going to be switching into. I don't really have the time to go through every single thing. These are all the same render settings that you have on the deliver page, but it's just something to keep in mind here, because if you go too low, you're going to want to go back and make sure that you have these disabled. It'll almost be like a proxy file at that point. It'll be really lightweight, but it won't be reading from something else when you go to render. Because it's switching its position in the timeline, it's going to just render whatever's currently on that timeline. So I'm just going to pick one. Let's do high quality. The handles, that's going to be, so let's say these two clips here, there's a link to left and right. I've got let's say I cut the clip at frame 100 and it went to frame 200, right, on my timeline. What this is going to do is it's going to go 10 each way, render that, put that on the timeline. So if you ever need to make a transition or you need to slightly adjust it because maybe the lips are out of sync with the audio, you can you have that 10 frames on each side, so you have 20 frames to work in. You can increase that or not have it included. And then the include video effects, obviously the effects here and everything that would be in Fusion as well. So what this is going to do is it's just going to be a straight render, and it's going to ask you where do you want to put it. It will put it in the project folder if you have a saved project. So I'm just going to click render. It's going to then ask me, and I have a little position here where it will put it in the project. Yeah. Okay, so then we'll just hit render, and it's going to be a straight render, and it's going to ask you where do you want to put it. It will put it in the project folder if you have a saved project. So I'm just going to click in the project folder if you have a saved project. Okay, so then we'll just hit render. Project. So I'm just going to click. So I'm just going to click folder if you have a saved project. And then folder if you have a saved project. Okay, so then we'll just hit render. Project. Okay, so then we'll just hit render, and then it's going to ask me where I want it. So I just made a folder here. Render in place, and what it's going to do is it's then going to render all of this clip out. Once it's done rendering this clip out, it's going to bring it into our project. It's then going to replace the current one with this new file, drop it on there, and the cool thing about this is, like I was saying before, all the things that we ever changed on this clip, the project will have that information. So if for some reason we don't want this rendered file on there, we can just revert back to the old one. All of my effects will be there, all of my Fusion comp will be there, and it'll just be like I never rendered out that file. But rendering it out will then get the fast playback. So once this is done,
all right, and then I got to speed up all this because we're obviously not going to sit there and watch that. Speed change ripple, and we'll make this like 800%. How long is that? Ooh, it's a little too long. So we'll do it again. Didn't want to do all that. Close. Dang it. All right, so we'll just go like that. So it's like a second. Whoa, 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 whoa. Wait a second. Okay, so okay. Okay. So now. Okay.
So now that it's done, we replaced it on here. If we come up to our effects library, we can see that we have this, which is the one that was rendered out with all the effects, and then here's the roll clip. Because I added the 10 frames on each side, what that did is it added the little 10 frames on that side. Like on this side. Oops, 10 frames on that side, right? So.
They added a video inspector? Using what? Clip speed feature in the inspector. Retime. Change speed. Interesting. I haven't used that yet.
The effects, and then here is the roll clip.
Thanks for sharing, though.
Because I added the 10 frames on each side. What it did is it added the little 10 frames on that side. But on this side, it added 10 frames on that side, right? So there are our 10 frames. If we ever need to slide it, or slip it, we can slip it. There's the little bit of frames that we have there. But now if we play back at the full amount. So now if we play back, we'll play back at whatever. Amount. We play back.
But now if
the frames that we have there. So now if we play back, we'll play back at whatever the native resolution of the project is. So there we go.
Resolution frame rate?
So here is one. So now if we play back, we'll play back at whatever the native resolution.
native res native resolution of the native res resolution of the project is.
So there we go. So here, there we go. Here is one of the situations where we have a raw file. So if situations where we have a raw file. So if I come over to the color page, we have all of our raw stuff here.
So this was interesting too that I learned is I wasn't sure how it would interact with a raw clip. Would it only show on the edit page the version of it that is like re-rendered in place that baked the animations in, and then maybe on the edit page it would kind of act like a cache clip where then I could use the original file format, but it doesn't, so you lose all of the raw stuff, but you can always just have it go back to the original by right-clicking it, and then right where it says render in place, it'll say like something to original, like go back to original or something like that, and then it'll have all the effects still there. So that was kind of interesting to see. So
I can go in and I can change all
just
my
pointing that
settings.
out.
Now, if we were to render this video clip, we're going to lose the access to raw, and the reason being is because it's going to take it into a completely different file type, and it's not going to have any of that raw data. So if we work the same way, we just won't have it. So let's say we did want to go back to something, maybe this needs to be changed, I need to change the position of this, but there's no effects here. All we have to do, right-click, and then go click.
All we have to do is
Display wall. We have to do right-click and here. All we have to do wall. Clicks here. All we have to do is right-click, and then we have to go decompose to original. We click that. It gets the original file. We click on it. We have all of our effects here. It looks identical, and now we have both of them. So we can edit here, or we can grab the file that we already rendered out here. Here. And that's pretty much it. It's super simple to go back and forth between the two. Like I was saying, with a raw file, if you do render this, so I'll quickly do a render in place. Sure. We'll come back and put this a render in place. This will render through, and once we go over to the color page, we're going to lose all of those color settings here because now it's a completely different file type, right? So that's just another thing to keep in mind if you do have raw stuff. But playback will be super smooth because my computer can play that particular file type back.
okay. No one needs to know that you can play that back, so we'll get rid of that.
Will be super smooth because my computer.
No, wait, that does make sense.
Okay, that will be super smooth because my computer can play that particular file type back relatively easily, and the data rate isn't extremely high that I have to be concerned. So, if you work on, if you work on,
I guess that makes sense.
high that I have to be concerned. High that I have to be concerned. So, if you work on making cool effects in your project, maybe you do a bunch of really really complex effects.
Why'd I stop?
So, if you do some
Because I restarted, that's why.
subjects, maybe you do effects in. Really, so if you work on.
Taking all that out.
So if you do some to be concerned. So if you do some type of complex effects, now you have a way that complex effects. Now you have a way that you can get them to render in position. That you can get them to render in position, bake all of those effects in, and still be able to edit and get all your timings and recut clips, and not be concerned with
all of this extra workload.
With all of this extra workload, being thrown on your, workload being thrown on your computer and not getting good playback if your timing's right to see if lip sync is correct.
But you also correct. But
You also have the ability that if something does go astray, you don't like an effect, there was something that you misspelled in something, whatever it is, you can just right click and go back to the original pretty simply, and all you lost is a few minutes in a render of that single clip, and a few minutes in
a few minutes
and maybe a little bit of hard drive space that you can simply delete and get rid of the file, and you're from there. But if you're working with someone else that maybe doesn't use Fusion or if you're working with someone else that maybe doesn't use Fusion or doesn't use DaVinci Resolve, you easily take advantage of the collaborative work environment.
What's
you can
funny?
Send them that clip, that wherever you put it in the folder, you can send them that clip. They can do their edits, bring it back to you. You can drop it back into your project, and it's as easy as that. It's as easy as that. It's as easy as that.
It's as easy as
Project. It's as easy as that. You can get going from there. Going from there. But yeah, that's kind of it for how to render in place. I think it's an amazing thing. I think like a lot of people that have low power systems will be able to take advantage of these really cool effects. It might take a little bit to render the clip, but once they render the clip, have it on their timeline, they figure out the codec that works best for their system, that they're comfortable with the quality. They can drop it back on their timeline, they can play it, they can get a good idea of what the project is going to look like, and you don't have to be worried about those little areas. Is the cache, cache going to be, are they going to run out of space for?
and they don't have to. Is the cache going to be? And they don't have to be concerned with if they're going to run out of space for little areas. Is the cache about those?
You can also be worried about those little.
Is going to look like, and they don't.
Yeah, what the project is going to look like, and they don't have to be concerned with. Yeah, what the project is going to look like, and they don't have to be concerned with if they're going to run out of space for cache. They can play it. Cache, they can play it and have a smooth experience when they go back in to readjust those edits or add some type of like titles or music or whatever it may be. So overall, good thing. There were ways around doing this before. You could just send the clip. So overall, good thing. There were ways around doing this before where you could just take a clip, you could come over to the deliver page, and then you can right click here and say render this clip, and just take your in and out points, make it specifically on that clip, and then you'd be able to render it out with all of the effects. But then you would have to bring it back into your project, drop it down, and when you would pull the other clip out, unless you stack them, you would lose all of the information from those fusion comps and stuff like that. So this is a much better way of going about doing it. It's a lot less, or it's more intuitive. It's a lot less like scattered all over the place, where you put files in, you're going to the deliver page, rendering the files, bringing them back in, and doing that whole round trip thing. So overall, good thing. If you guys would use something like this, let me know in the comments. But yeah, that's pretty much it that I have for this. I believe that this is for both the free version and the studio version, so anyone that is using the free version, you get to take advantage of this cool feature. I know that there was a couple of features that I was talking about in the past, as well as in my live streams, that if you use the studio version, you're the only ones that can take advantage of those. But from what I was reading, this is in the free version, so everyone gets to take advantage of this one. But that's kind of all I got for you for this one. Yeah, stay safe out there, guys. It's weird right now, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one.
All right. Well, I got that pretty much done, I believe. I just have to somewhere in here put a little play button, as well as put that there, and then the audio for it right here. Take this, go -5 in my live streams, that, and click on here, move this. There we are. Got that. Come back.
So you know when you're working on an edit.
All right. Now, what were these things that I highlighted?
At the raw file, you can with a cache.
Look at the
raw file. Raw file, you can with a cache. But one thing that happens with a cache is that you have the possibility of them becoming expired caches if you edit something, and then what ends up happening is that it has them in cache. So you have that as an issue. Or when you're working on a video clip and you want to send it to someone else to have them make additional edits to it, because the cache is kind of tied into your current timeline in your DaVinci Resolve, so you can send that as a separate file. With this new render in place, what it's going to do is it's going to take whatever clip you have, you can add handles to the ends of your clip, you can add handles to the ends of your clip, and then
Whoa, I said something the same time.
you can add handles to the ends of your clip, you can add
Okay, that should have been out of here.
you can add handles to the ends of the clip, and then you can actually take that clip itself, send it to someone, have them do some edits to it, send it back, then you can drop it back into a timeline. The other thing that this allows you to do, which is really cool because it's all kind of created in DaVinci Resolve on the edit page. Now, this is solely an edit page feature that you're going to be using here, is if at any point in time you have to go back to your raw file, file, and I'll show you here in a second why you want to do that. It will retain all of the information that you used to render out that file. So all of the effects that you added on, if you built anything in Fusion, it'll save all that stuff. So let's quickly go through how to cache and then also adding them on. And
What's going on with the audio? It's because I'm playing it back at faster than regular speed. It's something that I noticed with this beta version that I am getting a lot of. I don't know why, but I am. But when I fast forward it, I don't know if you can hear the popping, but I hear the popping in my headphones. It's kind of annoying, but yeah. I play it back faster just so I can edit quicker.
The pros and cons of doing this, and then how you would also revert it back if, let's say, you have a raw file and you go to color page, and you want to use the raw settings because when you did the render in place, you didn't do any coloring at that point. So let's jump into it. Here on my timeline, this particular clip.
Okay, that's pretty much done. I'm gonna grab. Why do I keep doing that? All right. Hey. That's nice to hear. I hope I can make more content for you with the new Resolve if you've been playing around with it. I'm really excited that once I'm done going over all of the new updates that I can start creating like cool stuff. Like I want to get my camera out and start filming stuff again, and then show people, for those who don't know, like how to use equipment and film, and then taking that stuff, ingesting it, and then editing it, where to go and get stuff to support whatever your edit is, different elements, music, whatever it may be, and then turn around and put it into a cool edit. So those are ideas that I have once I get done with going through all of these update videos. So you know when you're working on an edit, you jump into Fusion, you make a bunch. Oh, that's nice. I appreciate it. Was DaVinci Resolve the first editor you used, or did you use other editors? Other editing software is what I mean. Don't forget to save. This is the simple way that I put together a background track. It's not really the best way to do it, but it kind of works. Oh, it's the first one? Nice. I will say this. You are lucky for DaVinci Resolve being your first one, because a few years back when DaVinci Resolve wasn't around, you had slim pickings, and the slim pickings were not really that great. Because at one point, DaVinci Resolve didn't have an edit page that was usable. It was just pretty much just a color tool. How do you rename clips in your media pool? You just click on them. So let's say I have my clips here. Right, I just go boom, and then just click, and then I can type in whatever I want. Oh, don't want to do that there. You for this one. Yeah, stay safe out there, guys. It's weird right now, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya. Whoops. What's the name of the function you use the ripple beginning or end? The function would be start to playhead and end to playhead. And then you can obviously map those to whatever keys you want. You love my content. I appreciate that. Hopefully I can keep creating more and more and do more in-depth things. That's what I really want to start doing, is more in-depth stuff. Yep, you're welcome. Alright, so this video is pretty much done. Now I need to render this one quick. So let me get this render set up. Now let's get some music back on. Now that we're done with that one. Do 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 do. All right. I think this is what we were looking for. Render. Da, 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 says native. Yeah, to the H64. Da, 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 da. Bypass. Yep, sure. Everything looks right here. And entire timeline. Okay, boom, render. How long have I been using DaVinci Resolve? I don't remember exactly when I started. Actually, I can look up when I used it, because when was speed grade killed off? I don't know. Adobe Speed Grade is dead. It was way before 2017, that is for sure. Way before 2017. So Speed Grade was acquired in 2011 But when did they stop? I would say around 2014, 2015-ish. Is when, because I remember speed grade was dying and I wanted another tool to color grade in, and then I found out about DaVinci Resolve, but DaVinci Resolve didn't really have much more than just the ability to color grade. So then I started using that, and then as time went on, then I once they started to add like color tools, then I switched it over. I export using the CPU because right now I'm streaming. All right, so the other thing I need to do is I need to make a thumbnail, but I have no idea how do you make a thumbnail for such a small, like it's a tool, but how do you okay, you know what? I make a thumbnail that doesn't mean anything to the user interface like I do for things like this that I get frustrated with. So let me start up Affinity Photo and get a picture quick, and then I will make a quick thumbnail. All right, so we'll close that and we will go get an image. Most YouTubers use Adobe Premiere. What about DaVinci Resolve? What about DaVinci Resolve do you like better than Premiere? What do I like better? There's a lot of things that I like better. It's an all-in-one program, so you don't have to do like any type of what they refer to as like dynamic linking. They have a way. They have. It's pretty much DaVinci Resolve and Baselight when it comes to color stuff. Anything else doesn't really exist. So they have a very good color set of color tools, which I'm a big fan of, and I really like their licensing model. So you buy it once and then you have it, and you get all of the different iterations of the software, and yeah, that's pretty much that. There's no paying monthly or paying when there's a big release. It's all just is all in one. I mean, at the end of the day, let's be honest, it's just a tool to tell a story, right? So you can use, if you can tell a story, you can use any tool. It truly doesn't matter what the tool is. There might be a set of features that you like with one tool over another, but at the end of the day, they both kind of do the same thing. So one isn't superior to the other. It just one does things a little bit different, or has a slightly different feature set. But you can get the same end result with both of them. All right, I need to freaking get a good image here. And I need to open up my project for thumbnails. YouTube. This picture is a little on the big side. I don't really use too many OFX plugins. The only one I use isn't even needed anymore because now they added in a false color. But the false color one from, I forget what the company's called. But that's the only one that I really ever needed to use. Pixels in Motion or something like that, I think they're called. Okay, so what am I naming this? Render in place. DaVinci Resolve 17. Okay. Let's see how this one looks. What does that look like? Okay. I could use that. Just maybe a different color. Are you still making? Yeah, I have a whole bunch of stuff on my website. Everything, actually, I should have put it at the top of the freaking thing. Come on, man. I'm not even like advertising myself. I'm screwing up. There we go. Yeah, I'm still making stuff. Once I'm done with all of these, videos about the updates, I'm gonna really dive into creating more interesting stuff with all the new tool sets that are available in 17. I think that looks fine. All right. Oh, wait. Down in that bottom corner, isn't that like where the time typically is in a YouTube video thingy? Now I got to go look at YouTube videos. Because you got to watch out for that. Oh, the time's over here. Okay. Never mind. We're fine. All right. Oh, you're missing out. You're missing out. You missed out on this one. Let me show you. This has been out since 16. So I can go in between two. And if I go into transitions and I go into force, right? I can just throw these on. This has been in since 16 though. And we can get a transition and we can come in and add like motion blur on it. I should probably do this with different footage, but and then turn on like smart render or smart cache. Why didn't smart cache get added to that? Try it again. There we are.
That jazz. Today we're going to go over how to render and play.
It's a freaking simple cut in between. I thought it would going over here. It would look much better if it was going to something completely different. If I put 60 frame per second clip on a 30-second timeline, it will automatically play in slow motion, question mark. It depends on what the clip is, if you have like an overcut clip or not. But typically, it's going to, what the heck is the term? I can't think of what the term is, but it'll typically play it back in normal speed. There's a couple of different types of like slow motion.
Before we get started, for those who haven't...
There you go. But yeah, those already exist. It's the force pack on my website. Because I have like here, I have... Oh, let me actually get rid of this because I'm going to save this project and watch me have to come back in here sometime and... You have trouble trying to create a 1080 60 FPS video? Not sure what you mean by that. Like, what is your trouble? Where are you having troubles with? So I have footage here. I just have to pull it out quick. This stuff was shot in slow motion, right? But it was shot at 30 frames per second, but the camera was in high frame rate mode, so it gets more than that as the data rate, or the amount of frames it gets. What is going on right now? Why is this playing back like terrible? Well, that's not good. That's not good. So like that plays back, and if I wanted to play this in normal speed, I would have to increase this to 120, right? And then that's normal speed because I filmed it at 120 frames per second. But if you have like a prosumer camera, what they're going to do is the video clip itself will be at 60 frames per second, and you put it on a timeline, so it'll still play back at normal speed, and then you just have to go in and change the like the speed of the actual clip playback to stretch it out. No, there's no issues with having different frame rate video on the timeline. None at all. You can have any frame rate of clip on a timeline. So like this clip here is 20 no wait. This is 30 frames per second. Come on. I got too many buttons to click on. I'll just grab a bunch of clips and put them all on the timeline, and we'll look and see what all their frame rates are. So this is 25, this is 29, this is 29, this is 24, and this is 30. And they'll play back perfectly fine. I don't know what you mean by when you change the speed to 60, everything speeds up. So what you're saying is when you come over here and you change this to 60? Is that what you're saying? Because this says playback frame rate, not timeline frame rate. Is this what you're changing? Because you can't change this unless you make a new timeline. So that wouldn't do anything. But if I make a new timeline, and I don't know, what frame rate should I do? 60? So I do 60. And I take all these clips that we were just looking at, drop them on here. They all play back. Well. Yep. That's actually playing back really weird. Hold on a second. It's very bizarre. That's actually playing back kind of shitty. Yeah, but this is just the playback, like how fast the playback a clip. the frame rate is what your project is going to be. You typically want these to just match. Yeah, I mean, I know what I know what it's doing. Like if I recreate this, because I think I just found a bug, or I might have just found a bug. If I make another one now and now put a clip on, no, we're still locked at 30. It's playback at 30. So if I play it back at 60, now it plays back fine. I'm playing at 2 times speed. It doesn't show it up here, but I'm playing back at 2 times speed. But this timeline's now at a 60, but I don't know why that timeline isn't being represented by that, but that's the master. That's bizarre. Actually, hold on a second. I don't know. That's bizarre. But that's playing back at normal. Alright, so I need to save this quick. Export. Oh man, my back. I should probably be sitting up straight. All right. I'm pretty much done. I don't know what to do now. I think I'm done. I think I go and upload this. It's almost 4 a.m. Does anyone have any other questions before I go? If you have any other questions, hit me with them now. And then I'm going to get out of here. Go and upload this. I don't think I want to be streaming while I upload, because since I'm streaming, I'm using my bandwidth. Yeah. Okay, no worries. Thanks for hanging out. Question for you. What is your time zone? What's everyone's time zone here? Or I think better yet, what time is it for you currently? Because I'm guessing I'm getting a lot of people from the other side of the world right now, with it being, almost 4 a.m. in the U.S. Okay. 9:45. Okay, so that's like the same time zone as Germany. 2 p.m. Okay. Yeah, California. All right. So most people here are on the other side of the world. Very good. Alrighty. Well, at least now I know that there's a crowd that watches over in Europe. I guess because a lot of you guys are kind of stuck at home now, which kind of sucks. But yeah. Is there a shortcut? Select all. From where your playhead is. There probably is, but I don't know it. Because I don't use a function like that. Clips. Why did I even open this up like I'm actually going to be able to find it? I guess that would be edit. Select all clips. Let's just select all, but it doesn't give a direction. I'm not sure that there is one. There might be that I just don't know about, but delete selection. Because there's like a select all maybe in here. Select above, select next, select previous. No, that's only going to be a single. That's not going to be everything. Timeline. Select clips forward. This. Select all clips forward. Alt Y. Let's see. Alt Y. Oh, there you go. So I'm selecting this one now. Alt Y. It selects all these. Yeah. We're learning something new. I don't know why I would ever use that, but it sounds like you have a use for it. Now, is there a select the opposite way? Where was I? Timeline? Something like that? I thought it was in timeline. Oh, here we are. Select forward, select backwards. Select, oh my gosh. Control Alt Y. Man, that's a handful to click. Oh, that's weird. It's selecting the one in front too. Even though it's supposed to select all behind, it selects the one you're on too. Unless you're in the middle of it. Interesting. Well, there you go. I don't use that, so I would have never known that it was that. Yep, that's how you do that one. All right, well, I think that's it. Like I said in the video I edited, it's weird out there. Stay safe, guys. And hopefully I see you guys in another stream. If not, no worries. I'll see you guys in the comments. But with that being said, stay safe. And I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.